Hello, 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 and welcome back to another episode of the Tech and Tales podcast. I'm your host Abhishek Rao. Join with me is my co-host Veer Singh, and welcome back our very special guest Srinidhi Prahlad. Woohoo!
We have Srinidhi back with us, and this time around, we'll be talking more about NISB's journey and how it started and how it got to the stage that it is right now. Abhishek, you can start with your questions and we can just go through it.
Okay. So as we all know, Srinidhi made it abundantly clear that he is not the founder of NISP, but Srinidhi, what was the situation when you came into NISP? How did you rejuvenate it, get it back into life? How did you pump it up with the magic water they use in that Space Jam movie to get it pumped up back to where it is today? So, what did you do exactly?
Actually, way more romanticized. I mean, way like you are way more romanticizing it. But here's the reality, all right. NISB was started about 22 years earlier by GRR. G. Ragendra Rao, legendary CS, HOD, like really cool guy. Like I can't tell you how cool he is. And he started it about 22 years ago. He was also a student here. And I think it just at that time, maybe like 5 or 10 years into his teaching in NIE, and then he started this. NISB actually has a very rich legacy that most of us don't know. In fact, I think 7 or 8 years, like we celebrated the 15th anniversary of NISB when I was there in 2013-14 batch. So you can imagine it's like 22 years earlier. So something like what 15 years earlier, NISB actually got the art and student branch best student branch award. So that is like, yeah. So
Wow.
like really proud that Bangalore section we won and all. No, art and award only NSB has actually got. All right, and that time GRR was the faculty advisor. So NISB actually has a very rich history, something that even I have been over the years kind of trying to find out stuff, but all those records are kind of missing, and here and there they're kind of scattered and so on. So NISB is actually has a lot of legacy. So but then, of course, eventually, an organization, when you whenever it's there, it usually goes through ups and downs. Every organization, it could be a political organization, a religious organization, a startup, a company, IBM. It all goes through ups and downs. So usually it's like a bunch of three, four kids who are like really into it, and then they make something happen, and then 3, 4 years later, momentum kind of comes down, and again it happens. So it's a wave. All right. So in NISB's case, though, this seems to have got violated like last 7 batches, whatever. I'm only seeing it grow further and further. I just hope it doesn't come down at all. But anyway, so and initially we had a good set of team and everything, but what had happened is IEEE had got relegated to an E&D department club. So IEEE has EEE in it. So basically it was a student club for EEE people. And this sounds weird to you right now, but back then people were asking me, why are you in IEEE when you're in CS? Therefore, you know that thing, right? There's some minimum numbership is there, number is there, 21 or something. That year we were about to reach lesser than that. So we had thought of closing it down. Right? If you read the constitution, you can see I have put in clauses when it has to reach closure, how you need to disperse funds, what you need to do. Or not. The reason for that
We need to amend it this time.
Actually, there are cases where student clubs do go into like eternal death, and sometimes you'll revive them 15 years later, 20 years later, and all. So, unlike all these other student branches that have died and come back and all, ours is at least a continuous story. We were about to kind of die in those 1 or 2 years, in my first and second year. So we had this nice, vision with our volunteers and everything, and we kind of were like, because see, yesterday in my apartment, two kids who just joined NIT, they are we were all playing TT, all right, and then they were going down, and I heard them excitedly speak about their IEEE student branch and how they want to go there and volunteer and all. Like they want to go talk more to them about IEEE. So I also joined with that. I'd known IEEE as a college student, in new college, 11th and 12th. I'd heard about IEEE, and I wanted to join a college that has IEEE in it and that is kind of active. On his website had put up all these big build up and written amazing stuff about NISB at that time. And I'm like, okay, I'll definitely. One of the reasons for joining NIE was actually the fact that it has an active IEEE cell and an E cell. JC at that time didn't have any E cell. I had an opportunity to join that. I still didn't. So, and then I joined. And then we had a ball of time. In my first year, especially you're in sponsorship, I'll tell you a sponsorship story. We didn't know what is sponsorship, all right. Techniques had to establish sponsorship thing, and there was a rule that you can't go to those places, and they went everywhere. We violated that. We started going everywhere.
True.
And lying through our teeth, telling this is our footfall, that. And when fest, interstate, whatever fest ends up having JC, NIE, and if we are lucky, VVC students. That's all it was. And it would be 2-3 events. But we really planned big stuff. And then we went to these places. And I go to this Reliance Digital. And then I am like, what Reliance Digital? At that time, there was this Time Out, which was a bookstore. And then I go to him and I'm like, Mysore, as usual, didn't even have its own mall. And you have a mall and it's like mall.
Yeah,
of right? So,
true.
go there and he's like, sir, I have done this MBA from IIM. I am distributing pamphlets. You're coming to me and asking for sponsorship. In this mall, no one comes. There is no footfall. Am I going to believe that in your fest footfall will come? Nobody's going to come. My is a dead ticket. And I'm like, sir, you at least give us some book coupons or something. And he's like, I'm paying rent of 2 lakh a month. Book sales is 20,000 a month. Are you telling me I need to give you any discounts? If anything, please buy books from me. This is how our sponsorship starts, all right? Like nobody knew that Tech Fest is a thing that you could sponsor to, except IBM, which was like sponsoring stuff and so on. Nobody was sponsoring tech stuff. Only Techniques and JCNA would get sponsorship at that time. All right. And then, okay, we think, okay, leave these big people, they're not funding. We go to nice hotels and all. They feed us free food and all. So we are like, okay, we just go ask for sponsorship, we get food at least, and we're going on long, nice rides and everything. No one funds, okay. Every company in Mysore, tech company, they're all like, Tech Fest, sir, you have to fund tech Fest. And they're like, it's not even a thing. It wasn't a thing back then. And that's how we end up at Coffee Day, DRC, McD, all these places. They give us these free tickets, free coupons and all of that, which wasn't like a big thing at all. But for us, it would seem like CCD has sponsored, DRC has sponsored. So we would see that so many are sponsoring. So a brochure would end up having these other people also are sponsoring. And therefore, we started getting these kind of bigger people also to sponsor us real money through that. And also all these students ended up getting these amazing coupons and movie tickets. And, first year, he kind of didn't distribute it at all, and we all only went to see the movie there. The manager caught us, okay, and I was like, fuck this manager. I was against it, to be honest. But anyway, things weren't in my control, and I was like, okay, sir, do something. And he just laughed and he said, it's okay, go see inside, it's okay. And since then, Rias has been giving us tickets, so it's not like he took it negatively. McD guy to another level. McD guy is like, come and I'll give you every time our celebration party. I think I don't know if you guys are still doing it's in McD because he's giving us free food, so or subsidized food, and he's so happy that for 50 rupees we pay and this whole meal comes and 80 of us are going and eating on this. Because earlier we had to go all the. I don't even think you guys like if you're a Mysorean you would have suffered like. If you needed food, like if you needed a good restaurant, you had to drive all the way to Madhur and have McD. This was the story when first.
True.
NI had uniform 2 years before I joined. I don't know if you know. The website,
Really?
everybody wear uniform. I think many Mysore colleges even now have uniform. Like that girls only college, I think it still has uniform. ATM has uniform. Anyway, so it wasn't that happening a place at all. Like you guys are really lucky. So many things are happening and nothing was happening. Honest. Only some stuff was happening. But other than that, it was a very, very dull campus. And we had to spice things up. So that's how we ended up doing a lot of events. We got Silicon Valley entrepreneurs. We got so many events started to happen since then. And then came the orientation. So we decided we'll have a different format. This is what we do even now. Do this orientation almost kind of, to be honest, somehow, now in hindsight, because I never did all this EB shit and all, okay. But at that time, it kind of sounded like we are doing that and we had to create value because you're taking so much money. Not getting that much back in rebate, you want to kind of create that value. So, like Ankura, and we started doing month-long Ankura. Like we've done 30 events, 30 days, and too many things to just feel that we have promised so much. It should be paisa vasool for them. And like he said, say yes to everything. Yes, 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 yes. We've done like a million events so that it can just go, and orientation happens. Initial orientations were so bad that we have kept samosa and tea. Okay, and it's not that great. Tikanta's canteen stuff. I have found idli in that all this worms and all come out. But anyway, we have no other choice, and then we get Tikanta's this thing, and he's like, no. Even though we are going classroom to classroom, getting the teacher make them leave so that we can go to the orientation, getting attendance, they would run away in view of it. I am going behind them telling, sir, samosa is there, samosa is there, samosa is there, tea is there, certificate I'm going to give you. And still nobody, half people end up turning up. But eventually it did take off, and we would sit there. This is what I said, right? Like, my biggest confidence in sales comes from NISB drives, like orientation drives. I can sell because we could sell, like, we put that desk and we are waiting and waiting. Who will trickle in? Who will pay 1,700? It's a lot of money. And it's like insane. And then finally people start showing up, and we ended up getting about 180 people. So we went from having almost shutting down the cell to 180 people. In fact, it is this story that
come back.
This story that we wrote in our proposal for that Best Student Branch Award. I wasn't expecting us to get it. A lot of colleges had done much better than us. Sitting like this, and suddenly they announced. Even now, Nippon and everybody, they mock me. They're like, remember, we should have taken your reaction photo. I was like, really? I was like, I wasn't sure. And they announced it. They said they have gone from having about 20 people to 180 people, which is like what, 6 or 7 times in a year, and done all these events. And that is why we're giving them this award, even though other people have done even more events, because the previous year NITK had won it. So I was like, we weren't sure we'd get any award, right? So this is something that I really cherish very well, like have very fond memories of that. And I'm super jealous of all of you. Like, you're having a prom night, those tables that you're having where you're eating. Let me tell you that story. That year we want to do this hackathon, Bluemix hackathon. We wanted to make it really big. We were getting 35,000 in sponsorship from IBM to do it. To do a hackathon, I need those big tables to be able to host in sports complex. India guy doesn't have it. So he actually thought this will be an asset for us if he procures it for all events to come. Those big circular tables, every year hackathons to other events can happen. We actually, the fest budget was about 2.5 lakh. We put in 15,000 just for those tables and got it there. So you guys get it rented at a much lower price, but we've done things like getting from that rebate thing to establishing that network to going and putting out that NI name everywhere. So much that eventually when all these SLC and everything else would happen later, it would be like, see, some people would know me, all right? They won't know other people, and they would go and they tell we are from NI, and they're like, oh, we know NI. It wasn't like that. In first year student leadership, not student leadership, it actually happened in Bangalore in my first year. I'm there and I'm shell shocked when I'm seeing all these other campuses that are doing so well, and we are about to shut down. And in a year later, we get that award. So that's like, to me, it's like that I write actually in the Jignasa article. I think you should, like, it's not available on the internet. Like, I've written for 3 Jignasas. I'll write for this also. I've documented all this at length in them. So, J.K. Rowling says that she was as poor as you could get in London without being homeless. And she's having this baby, husband has left her, mom dies. It is in that context that she starts writing this story on napkins in this particular restaurant. And she says, as my mom died and depression came into me, that is how the concept of dementors came about. And all these happy moments, they were all these patronus charms, and that would send those dementors away. These stories, when I feel down, when I feel bad, when I feel numb, it is these stories that kind of hold me and make me feel happy and come back to life again. The biggest thing that NISB has given is countless patronus charms. It really ends up making your life kind of worth it, because at the end of the day, you can see the kind of impact that it has done. See, you guys, how much you guys are having fun. Every year, like when we did the constitution, honest, like I've written there, right? I said it's Devlu, it's my age, I'll do it. But I just want, because I wasn't in a liberal arts campus and I was wanting to do all the MUN and constitution and debating, So I just did all of that at that time. But when I see you guys take it not just seriously, I hear like code words, like, because there weren't any student chapters. When I would go and they would actually ask, how many student chapters do you have? And I was like, what's that? Or they would, I didn't know what's region when I went to the All India IEEE Student Congress. So it was, nobody knew anything that they even existed. Rebate I got to know in second year. So it was very bad. So in that context, it became that gave confidence that I could actually create a startup and also create impact. Because 2-3 years earlier in the reunion, somebody said, they read the story and they, whenever they feel bad, they go and read it again. Or I have seen so many of you tell your own stories. Last union, I didn't even speak much because I wanted to hear your stories and you guys sharing it and bonding over and learning so many things and getting placed in really good places, taking it to unbelievable heights. And I was shocked when I think we told me 400 people or something is the membership count. It's unbelievable. So it is the kind of growth, successive REMs and successive, so many faculty advisor to student branch awards to taking it online, the kind of Instagram presence you guys are having, the quality of events that is happening, the quality of name that NISB commands now is like, hats off to all of you. It's like really, really, I feel very, very satisfied when I see that. I think I tell this very often. I really want to have a baby. Not that I can't, but I can't give birth to it, right? I like biologically give birth to it. I can biologically also give birth to it. You get the point. Therefore, the closest thing that you can get to is to give birth to an organization, an idea, and things like that. So to me, NSB is like, I think all of you also feel it at some place, especially when you leave and go, and when you see all this legacy and all these people taking it forward, you somewhere feel like your baby is getting taken care of very nicely. That's one reason why I'm completely hands off. Only if it's required and they tell, oh, NSB room is closing up, or that RNP may leave as a faculty advisor. Only then I kind of intervene. Otherwise, I'm totally hands off. And it's growing and growing, and all the systems put into place, because I am a very systems driven person. I don't believe and I don't want to have some personality driving stuff. That's why we have so many different selection processes to this, to that, and everything, and all of those systems are working, and it's churning out better leaders and better leaders. Like IBM would give all these awards, and I had fantastic seniors, all right, like they did a job. And that's how we even could do well. But some of them I especially in other organizations, let me tell this, like I'll not name, but I have heard top-notch IEEE people, when we were networking, laugh at me and ask, are you sure you're not making any money? And I was like, no, I'm not. And people who's who make a lot of money, all right? And that is why we have such stringent systems for money and for selection of people, and not based on some nepotism, and not based on some favorite of a teacher, and not so much screwed up stuff that it was working on, which is what made it go low. That's how all of those systems got changed, and I wanted the system to work. And now when I see such bright, happy faces doing it, like I tear up, because it's a very, very happy moment to see that NISB has really taken off and is doing such impactful work. Because at the end, to be honest, he just wanted to do NSOC, CS chapter, this, that, and we sowed the seeds, all right. We didn't have time to manifest it. I saw all these future batches manifest all these stuff and even more amazing ideas and make it happen. I feel so good, because at the end of the day, it's the organization. At the end of the day, it's institution. It's people come and go. And therefore, if institution is successful and continuously create a lot of successes, that's the happiest thing. Volunteers are, we are just there to kind of do something. It's the institution, and as long as that lasts, that's the happiest day for a volunteer. So
but thanks to you, is the reason is because you guys put in the effort for us. Is the reason that we can't even think of NISB shutting down, like these, especially like these days and these years. It would like, even if like, as literally there's a pandemic and we have not like shut down, we're still finding ways to like move forward. So I think that is because of like all the constitutions, all the rules, and all the effort that you guys like put in for us, that we've become such like a famous one of the famous student branches possible, and one of the largest student branches, in fact, in the entire IEEE Bangalore section, where
Wow.
if I'm not mistaken, the third or the fourth largest student branch in all over, like, the
And
region. Also, I really felt it when you said, you do things as a joke, you sow the seeds and then you watch it grow. Because I also know, like, electronica, which was like started a couple of years back just as an event, then it had its own series and series and series. For
Yeah.
us, the first event individually, what we did was probably quarantine, probably last year, and this year we have quarantine 2.0. We had it actually already. So we had quarantine 2.0, which was like really really fun. But let us also come to the point of the last episode we were kind of speaking about the pandemic and the importance of, like, um uh, the skills required for your work and all that. So you said, because there was a time constraint, we couldn't complete everything. But how important is, like, community service and community work? What would
yeah,
you say about that?
that's an amazing question, because I wrote in that Jignasa also, because at the end of the day, volunteering in the Indian context is seva. You go and serve causelessly. And in reality, you will actually realize that it gives a lot of satisfaction. So let's say you go to Kalyo Mane and do a small workshop where you teach children how to code, right? And at the end of that day, have good food and treat. You have a lot of money now. Give them a good treat and come back. But how, you'll keep that in your mind forever, right? That's such a cherished moment. It's like, it's not an either or. You don't have to become some saint and do work. You don't have to dedicate your life and do social work. It's a component of life. The kind of joy partying gives, reading a book doesn't. Reading a book joy, good piece of execution of work doesn't. Good piece of execution of work, volunteering doesn't. So these are all different aspects of life. You see the famous Maslow's triangle, that's on the top. And there's a reason for that. Because you really get a lot of satisfaction when you do that. So when you don't need to do a lot of events, let's say WI is doing something good. Let's say you are now, especially in this pandemic situation, we really need to do stuff. It could be a simple fundraiser. It could be a simple tech-free workshop for children from underprivileged backgrounds. You end up doing an online workshop for them, or you mentor somebody online and things like that. So you could really do simple things like dedicate an hour a week and do it. And NISB can run such initiatives where you can actually partner with some schools or colleges, and these guys can help them orient their career depending on their interest, what they could do, where they can get free coaching, how to apply for scholarships, which companies to prepare for. Because we are a very knowledge divided country. We Privilege for us is not just money. Privilege, because of a lot of historical reasons, is knowledge. So my maid's son will not know that. Forget that. I didn't know that Stephens existed. I'd have probably gone and done liberal arts. I didn't know that. Oh, I could have taken Rhodes scholarship and gone elsewhere. You won't know those things if I, being so privileged, having throughout been in Bangalore, went to a very good school, didn't know these things. You imagine somebody who's coming from a tier 2 town, and they won't know these opportunities. They won't know alternate careers exist. And these things can help, or teach code, or teach languages, teach English. So I really think it's very value giving. It's character building. You will gain a lot out of it. Your own skills will improve, communication to writing to public speaking to being comfortable on camera. Like we were discussing the other day, right? One of the biggest hurdles for online events is camera skills, and
True.
people are shy and it's difficult, and everybody had turned off their camera during the orientation. And then I was like insisting, switch on the camera, that will make you more comfortable with it. And 4 or 5 switched it on. And I'm also not comfortable with the camera. But you learn. How do I learn? You do this. I'm not getting paid to do this session. I'm happily doing it, not just because of any other thing. I'm getting all these soft skills in parallel. Like you guys taught me how to use Craig. You guys taught me how to use Discord to record this chat now, right? So you always learn. And that entire learning curve that comes through volunteering, you don't get it from other places. And it builds your character like nothing else. I have seen people who don't come from volunteering backgrounds, who come from very privileged backgrounds with those degrees. They don't fit well with organizations because they become they don't pick up teamwork. They get ego hurt very easily. They cannot take no easily. They are extremely entitled as millennials. millennials are having a lot of entitlement that without any hard work you want to get all sorts of praise and accolades and money, and why should you get it? There's no answer to that. I am entitled because I got some award, third standard I won some competition or something. So it's very bad. And volunteering does that. It makes you humble, and it really, in these times of pandemic, we ought to reach out. Otherwise, at least for me, it's like, I'll get sleepless nights if you don't do some stuff at least. And it, career wise, it not only gives you soft skills, but in a very twisted way, it helps you. I don't approve of this, but it helps. So if you've done volunteering, it helps you better when you write your SOP to go abroad. It helps you. They do look into your volunteering experience. They do see if you've done community service. People on purpose go and do all this stuff and go to Africa. And I read the story where Africa, they were all building a school for underprivileged children, but we don't know how to build a school. And apparently that school used to collapse in the night. And those people, only to not make their ego hurt, would go build it up. Next day morning, they'd be like, wow, we built it up. So don't do such shoddy things, do real work and show that on your resume. It'll actually end up getting you, to good grad schools as well. US and Europe grad schools value your volunteering experience because they know that it builds your character and so on. So definitely it does help your career as well. So in direct ways, it helps your career.
I also have a small story to add to this. So when I was in my first year of engineering, so I joined NISB, and then I joined the basketball club and all of that. So my schedule used to be not very tight, but it used to be tight, especially coming to my second year. It used to be extremely tight, especially in my second year. So I would go to college morning at 10 o'clock. I would come home at 8:30 in the night, after finishing everything. And weekends are the one thing where you get to relax. And then I used to chill out. But then I don't want to name anybody, but I saw my senior. She used to work. She used to come at 7 o'clock in the morning, go back at 9 o'clock in the night. And in the weekends, she used to go somewhere else, do something. And I was like, how do you even keep it up on the weekends? It's tough, right? How do you do this? What are you doing exactly? And then she was like, no, I go to this organization, not NGO organization that teaches children how to read English. And then I asked her, yeah, that and all is cool, but how can you keep it up? Don't you get any stress or anything? But the way she responded to me changed my life forever, because in the first year I was in my IIM internship, and at that time I realized that she had put up this campaign and all that. So I had asked her. So she said one simple sentence which changed probably my life at how I looked at things in general. So she said basically, I am doing all this. I can learn everything. I know everything. I am doing this because I want a good job, good salary, for example. There are other people out there younger than me who also want to do this, but they can't because they don't have that many facilities. And it is hard reality, no matter how good or how bad government schools are, or in general where underprivileged children who can't afford even schools or orphanages where you have these little children who can't understand or cope up with the educational system. There are majority of actually Indians have very little education. If we don't do something, who we people who we know, and this is the time for us to do it is now, because we are connected with all the information. We still remember what is a plus b whole square. So if we don't help them, who else will? So as you said, Srinidhi, she said, knowing that I've taught somebody, it calms my mind down actually when I go there every weekend and teach people. And in the night, no matter whatever problems I might have, whatever college issues, I have a test the other day, I'm able to do better because I know those children believe in me.
It's
I know
amazing.
those
That's
people
beautiful.
believe in me. And that honestly changed my whole perception. It made me join the place as soon as she said, and it literally changed my outlook on life. So I don't often say this, but I am the most random person who has the most random friends, just because that I just can't sit still. I've been laughed at it and scorned at it a lot of times, but I've become the type of person who just can't like see somebody suffer, who's, it might be anybody in general, but when you don't know, like when you know the pain of not having something, when you know the pain of how like others might feel, that is when you like realize that how cruel the world actually is for some other people. And all you can do is, you can't change their life around. Probably you might in 10-15 years if you're that good, but all you can do is like make it a little more happy for them.
And the kind of learnings, like you said, is amazing. Like I am, like the thing is, you learn every second. I'm not a good listener. I'm now learning to listen right now, and I'll want to speak like that. It becomes.
So apart, like barring like now the sentimental
Yeah,
aspect
yeah.
of
Let's
this
lighten
show,
it up a bit.
I was going to suggest that we go to some lighter aspects where people
Yeah,
could like end it on a high note. So I
yeah.
was going to ask you about your funny stories, because I do know you've had a lot of funny stories.
Yeah.
So
I
yes.
am not so sure what I want to tell, but I'll do tell some stuff. I'll tell. So
Okay.
yeah. So all right. So I told you the attendance thing. Then there was this big tamasha. All right. I don't know if you know about it. I became a villain on campus to the point of almost having narebazi in my name because of this horrible episode that happened with Windows 8. All right. Windows 8 was this rage at that time that everybody wanted.
Okay.
IEEE has this thing. I forgot the name. Some Microsoft ka student thing. It's partnered with. So with an IEEE membership, you can download many softwares for free as a student. Authentic, non-pirated stuff. Even now, I'm sure.
Wow.
Yeah, they have both Biz. Oh, for even as a startup, we have taken that. And BizSpark and student ka thing. There's some other name. So we were supposed to get all these licenses. One of the biggest things in our orientation claim was become an IEEE member, you get Windows 8 licensed for free. This was true. I'm not making
Wow.
it, right. It was a big
Okay.
sell and people take it.
Yeah.
Now we are having the 252 through whatever number of people join us. And then, as luck would have it, by the time we download those keys, that facility was taken away of that particular software, Windows 8. By the time
I
download,
didn't know.
like there is that 2-3 month window, no, where you join and we pay all
Ah.
the money and we run our own first event and all that.
Yeah.
Then it vanished.
Oh
Now,
no.
collected money and we've paid off their membership also. Like I cannot now go and if you don't want, please take your money back. I can't
Yeah.
do that. What do I do? All right. So thankfully, to our luck, it turned out, no, we were all thinking, what do we even do now? Like it was very complicated. All right. I'll tell this is what has happened. Apologize. But then it turned out that college has a Microsoft subscription as well for academia, and it gets because of that big subscription. Not only get its access for papers and all of that, it gets even now it gets Windows or any other software of Microsoft some 200 or 250 keys for college system. College
Okay.
system weren't no way compatible for Windows 8.
Windows
It would never
8.
install
Okay.
it. It will never run. So every year it was going in waste. So what I decide is I'll go now, I'll get these letters done. We'll download those keys and we'll give it to them, telling this we have told, and it's going in waste anyway. We will now give it to them. And I tell this is what has happened with my predicament. Everyone signs. Principal also signs. I tell, yeah, these keys are going in waste. Those students have been told and now they've lost it. Let us give it to them. And then one
Okay.
clerical staff ends up and we download it. All the keys, imagine this 200 Windows 8 keys are in front of me right now. It's been downloaded on a PDF. I become very happy and I'm expressive and I'm like, yes, yes. I started kind of becoming unreasonably happy. I think this is my guess. I don't know what happened in hindsight. I mean, in reality, she got suspicious. Why is he becoming so happy? She's asked somebody else, why is he so happy? I don't know what she thought, like I'm doing some scam or something. When in reality, I am happy because my life is saved. All right. He vetoes it.
What?
Her own bizarre reasoning and writes a long letter telling this can't be given.
Oh no.
Two, three, letter forward. I give all technical counters. Okay. He's like, all students in the campus are entitled to it. I'm like, yeah, sure. How would you give it out even if it was there? She said, first come, first serve. And we are that. If come first serve, first serve. Nobody else even knows. Nobody else, if you now put it out telling we have these keys, 2,000 people, if they ask you also, how will you give it out? It's getting wasted, it's getting expired next month. Give it to us. We vetoed it. I don't know, okay, and we lost it. We never got it. And
No.
personally, to people telling this is all has happened, I'm very sorry about this. And thankfully, to my luck, because there was no flaw of mine, and we did very well, and we got award and everything. But this was some horrible. Okay. So this continues. Here's what happens next. So one of these people who has become kind of sour with me, I still don't know who that is. I may have guesses, but I don't know who that is. Now goes to toilet of NIE boys toilet or whatever and writes my name and tells he's a horrible person and all in toilet. On this NIE memes page, there is this thing that comes up telling, oh, this person is so horrible. Not only Windows 8, but all computers are futile. Everything will be gone and so badly tarnishing these images now on NIE memes. I mean, not NIE memes, NIE confessions page. And NIE confessions, to my utter luck, thankfully by then both seniors and juniors have seen the work we have done and we've grown very big by then. This happened in my second end and we've got that award or whatever, all of that. Everyone stands up for me and we get hundreds of comments in support of me, including the NIE confessions page owner only, who's telling, I will remove this because we're getting a lot of flack. Therefore, I'm going to remove this post. This is offensive. I know him personally. He's a secret guy. He's incognito. He can't support. And eventually, for what reason, I don't know, that page itself got shut.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, because of a lot of backlash. So yeah, that way, like I got a clean sheet.
I was just imagining people just looking at you and be like, he only stole my Windows 8. Scam.
Oh, but see, okay, to be fair, we have not said, oh, pay this money, you'll get Windows 8. That's not what we have done. This was just one thing in 200, 300 pointers that you're going to get from NISB.
But this was your selling point, right?
Yeah, it's one of the selling points. It's like, you would make that claim of 1,700, you'd get so many bouquet of things worth so much of more money. You could, by the way, with that same membership, you could still download so many other softwares. So it's not like it went in waste. They could still download Visual Studio. They could still download earlier versions of Windows. They could still download all of that. So what we did is we made them download all of that. So we kind of gave it a good closure where we gave you 30, 40 more software, all of which Visual Studio including, we did workshops on all of it and you got it for free. So therefore it did become Paisa Vasool. It's just that one particular OS you didn't get. You got older flavors of Windows 7 and all. So it's fine. Windows 7 also most people didn't have. So they downloaded that and we cleared. It was good. That's how next year we still got even more members and all. But this stuff kind of gave me a bad name because it kind of made me only. So next year, that's why we went overboard. That's how we told 30 days of Ankura. We want to make it so Paisa Vasool now. Nobody can tell anything. So we became like, we've had an event every single day almost. So Ankura in that sports complex, because of 4 or 5 events happening in parallel, it ended up that it had come on a long holiday. Most people have gone home to their home. 4 events are happening in parallel, 4 fests. And ours is happening in the sports complex. So RMP's prediction came true. More people are on the stage than on the floor. Because we've got all these who's who of IEEE and big webinars and a startup conclave. And we are having internship drive of startups. And we're having people launch their products for the first time. And we're launching our constitution, the very first journal edition we're bringing out of, we have had Jignasa, but we've not made it into a student magazine kind of a thing. We're bringing out so many things. And where's everybody other than our volunteers? It became like that.
Oh no.
On the roads now, all these IP people are sitting there. And I'm like, see, anyway, placements are becoming hard for IP people. Get you a very big certificate from IBM, come inside. And I'm like, we don't code. And I'm like, yeah, but you will have to. Most jobs are anyway coding jobs that everybody takes in NI. So come, it will be useful to you. And please, I've become this chair and these big people have come here and nobody's there. And I went literally with folded hands, all right, all suited up and everything. And to my credit, they came, event became a success, and more people joined. Once crowd started to come, we filled up the hall, and
Yeah.
it was successful. But finally, I've got all these people. One genius, like I can't tell you how thankful I am to him. He comes, and we had never, for some reason, thought of having all these PG students join us at all. Like, we've done orientation, we became satisfied with all the undergraduates itself, and we had IP people join us. We had, civil people and all had become members of IEEE by then. So it became like, this guy said, "Arey, you haven't even done orientation for us. We will anyway come." And they flooded. Like, we had like 100, 150
Wow.
CA and all of those guys come because of this one guy. Next day, I am prepared to felicitate all of them with our awards and everything, thanking him for getting us all these people. Those people don't show up for the results of the internship fair at all. And I'm like, why have they not come today when we're going to give them all these plaques and certificates and everything? In that internship fair, one smartass has thought, this is an internship, this is my moment, I'll play roadies. He has almost ended up ragging everybody, thinking it is some roadies kind of an interview, and telling me I built their character today. And I went leaving this event, apologizing to them, telling, we didn't know he'd do all this. I'm so sorry this happened. Please come at all. They said, no, we'll not come there. You give a certificate here only. And we gave them certificate here only. A year later, it turns out that with one of those girls only, he got into a relationship. I am like, not only is it so bad, should it work? Like, this blew my mind. Yeah, it has worked.
It has worked. Miracle.
Yeah.
And we are over the time limit. Sorry
Yeah.
for everybody who's watching that we couldn't get in more stories, but we kind of knew this was going to happen when we had Srinidhi over. We will definitely have him for another episode of a podcast sometime soon. You're always welcome here, Srinidhi. We would
Yeah, I only
Sure.
told you guys should, once my podcast studio is done, come here. We'll do the next episode. And he is like, I live in Mysore, and I'm like, in Bangalore, like you'll never come to Bangalore. And he's like, COVID. Like, I love the rapport between both of you. It's like he was telling me, don't be the devil's advocate. And the other day, I'm like, Abhishek is asking me, who is this? Are you a night person? And I'm like, yeah, who isn't? And he's like, I'm not, and I'm this morning person. And he is like, no, I'm a night owl. And today, we have a hard time where I'm telling this guy, oh no, I've become super late. I will do it at 1 o'clock. And he's like, no, this is happening at 12:30. No,
Yeah.
right now. You have to be here.
Wow.
Like, I haven't
We
heard so
could
many-
listen to this all day,
Yeah.
but sadly, we've crossed way over the time limit. So
Yeah.
I would like to end it by one final small question, which I asked Veer, and I think I'm going to make a point of it to ask like other people also. If you were currently in NISP, forget like being in 2012, you are currently an NISP core member, what would you like try to implement, or what would you like to try something new or change? Because this is important for our feedback.
That's
This is
amazing. I had
You're
forgotten part of what I wanted to speak, but thanks for reminding me. It's I really attend events. I think organizationally we miss out on events. Attend events because it is your own event. Please attend it. I would like not miss out on events. That's one thing. Second is really get on all these stellar people to do job specific context of interviews. So online itself, you can have those mock interviews. You can have somebody who's joining Cisco tell you exactly how the questioning works, what are the steps, and how do you get there, and get those recommendations and do all of that stuff. Those events will really help in placement. Thirdly, basics of getting a job. Like, I really actually getting a job in NISP, NI is very easy. You need to know your algorithms. You need basics of half of data structures. Algorithms also very little. Some SQL, very good with your C and C++, and some databases. That's all, right? And that isn't that hard. An IPA guy also can get a very good job with that. We don't focus on that. So I think apart from focusing on all of our cutting edge stuff, I think gearing up, because the tech training of college, at least when I was in there, wasn't that great. So I think focusing on those, how do you crack that really well? AMCAT, most companies do AMCAT, the mid-tier ones and the lower tier ones. So I think focusing more on that kind of stuff, especially for third years, I think that will be great. Apart from the cutting edge stuff that will gear you for top jobs or to get to, off-campus jobs and so on. So that is another thing. And this eye contact thing I was telling, right? Like we need to really focus on fun events because that builds your audience. So that day we played this fun game. I thought you guys will have some rapid fire or something. Nothing you've planned. Next time you plan it. No, like I had done all this fun stuff last time.
We have actually
Yeah.
three games. We had planned three games in between, but because of the time,
The
Hey,
flow.
I want one
So
game because the audience will get a feel of how to do online events. So do a game.
okay, sure. So we didn't put it in the like brief that we gave you in because we wanted to keep it as a surprise.
For sure.
So
Yeah.
the first one is
Ask
called
for
yeah. The first one is called the Rapid Fire Association game. So it may be anything. I will give you a word. You should immediately, as soon as possible, tell me the first thing that comes in mind.
Yeah.
So the first word is
Okay.
creativity.
Passion. For me, it's a passion. Yeah.
Okay. Work.
Boring. You have
Okay.
to become a hardworking person. Yeah.
Speaking.
Oh, speaking. I can speak and speak.
Okay, we have two more, which is NISB.
Home.
Okay. And the last one is okay, let me select a good one. Depression, insecurities.
Reality. Often we don't accept it's a reality. Sushant Singh, they're making up all stories. He was depressed, and that's okay.
yeah,
We need
that's
to
a very good.
accept this. Yeah.
So that was just a snippet. So I had like a couple of 10, 15 questions we would have played, but it's an hour and 18
Yeah, that's
minutes.
okay. I love the game. The reason I asked you for that is it's super important that we focus on fun stuff during these events, and you guys are already acing it. So pepper in those things and have, even though we are a tech organization, have those NI roasts, tech roasts only or normal roasts. You can have so many different things. His stand-ups you can have, and the reason for that is it builds your audience. And the moment I'll also come and do stand-ups and spoken word and also ensure you build an audience around it, because not all of us always want to do tech, and we don't want to relegate only to tech, something that NSB has done for some time. So I would suggest you to open up more into other fora also. I did that with startups and everything. You can do other things also. So that's another thing that I'd suggest.
I think thank you all if you have still stuck around. It's been like an hour long podcast. Anyways, thanks for watching, everybody. Don't forget to share, like, and subscribe.